crucial victory for Liverpool at Brighton. What impressed you most about the Reds' performance? As has been the case for most of this season, the controlled nature of the performance, a sign of a title-winning team, was the most impressive thing for me. Defensively, we were really solid and never gave Brighton the chance to get the home crowd up. That sensible approach is a real sign of maturity. The hosts did not have a single shot on target all match, made all the more impressive by the fact it was the first time since March last year they haven't scored at home in a Premier League game. Fabinho at centre-back looked like he felt at home there. Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum in the middle of the pitch were not great first half, but were much improved in the second, and with the quality up at the top end of the pitch, you always expect the Reds to score at least once. One moment of magic is enough to get the points now, as Mo Salah provided when he got the better of Pascal Gross inside the area, confidently converting from the spot. 16 wins from 16 games against the teams outside the top 5 this season is a real improvement. That will be the difference if Liverpool do win the league. Where previous campaigns under Jurgen Klopp have been punctured by defeats at the likes of Burnley and Bournemouth, or frustrating draws at Anfield against West Brom and Stoke, this season the clinical consistency of results against the lesser sides will hopefully yield the reward of the Premier League title. What have you made of the argument that Salah goes to ground too easily? Personally, I think it's a difficult argument to buy, really. At Bournemouth in December, Salah was blatantly hacked at by Steve Cook, who raked his studs down the back of his Achilles, and yet the Egyptian carried on and scored. His reaction to being tugged back against Brighton was admittedly a little dramatic, but it was still a foul. Even Chris Hughton said it was a penalty, which kind of tells you everything you need to know. Salah is a world-class player and people understandably want to talk about him. It's almost like talking about his goal-scoring is no longer going to generate discussion as it's become the norm, so people have to find something else to debate instead. The only concern would be that he gets a bit of reputation which referees use against him, like Luis Suarez did. For now, though, he just has to ignore the criticism and get on with scoring goals. Trent Alexander-Arnold's injury creates a problem for Jurgen Klopp. What have you made of the decision to allow Clyne to leave, and who should play at right back in Trent's absence? It was a strange call to let Clyne go in my opinion, given he did so well against Manchester United and can also cover left back as a better option than Alberto Moreno. The injury to Trent has only made it stranger, but Jurgen Klopp does have options. The manager doesn't like to have a big squad which he knows he cannot keep happy, so if Clyne wanted to go and get more game time, he was always going to allow that. He has just about got away with it in terms of centre-back options, having sold Ragnar Clyne without signing a replacement in the summer, and he should just about get away with it again here. James Milner is the one who will slot in at full-back as he has in the past. Fabinho plays there for Brazil, but I'd rather keep him in the centre of the pitch if possible, and he may well be needed at centre-back again should Joel Matip pick up another injury, which is far from impossible. Rafa Camacho would be a huge risk given his usual position is much higher up the field, He ended the under-23s game against Brighton on Monday night as a forward and spent most of the night as an attacking midfielder, but against lesser opposition, at Anfield, and alongside Virgil van Dijk, even he could look solid in there. Depending on how long Trent is out for, Joe Gomez might come back before him, in which case he would be able to play there for a couple of matches as he has done expertly before. Lots of talk about Coutinho in recent days. What are your feelings towards him, and rumours of a move to Man United? Video loading. Video unavailable. Click to play. Tap to play. The video will start in 8. Cancel play now. There's no way that move will happen, so no need to panic. To go to Manchester United would be unforgivable, but the chances of that occurring are next to zero. He's found himself in a slightly similar situation at Barcelona to the one he had at Liverpool, in that he's not really a player perfectly suited to playing in a three-man midfield, but at the same time, he's slightly wasted on the left of a front three. Coutinho's ideal position is as an out-and-out number 10, but Barcelona are not going to alter their identity and style of play because of him. Having been there only 12 months, though, Coutinho is highly unlikely to want to give up on the dream move already, and he hasn't been so bad that Barcelona would be desperate to get rid of him. No one liked the way he forced himself out of Liverpool, but he's a world-class player and you can accept that he would always have wanted to sign for Barcelona. Given the success the Reds have had without him, it's hard to get too angry about him no longer being around. If it came to it, I'd certainly take him back to Anfield. He is one of those players who is simply a joy to watch. Having forced his way out, though, Klopp may well see it very differently. Liverpool are unlikely to do any business in January. Do you think that's a mistake? The only way of knowing that will be at the end of the season. If the Reds finish a point behind Manchester City, then everyone will say one more player would have been the difference, but there is no way of knowing right now. You can always improve the squad, even though the team is at its most rounded in my lifetime, and if someone becomes available at the right price that the club wants, getting them now is a no-brainer. Unless that happens, though, it's hard to see it happening. If Klopp was going to invest this month, it would have already been done by now, as happened with Van Dijk last year. Michael Edwards and Klopp usually have very specific targets and always look to get the best value out of signings, which is never going to be the case in January, and given their recent record in the market, it's tough to put forward a convincing argument for not spending being a mistake. Any other business? Looking slightly ahead, it's going to be fascinating what business the Reds do next summer, league champions or not. There will be a number of departures. Moreno, for instance, looks certain to move on, but there are several young players waiting in the wings who could be potential in-house replacements. At left-back, 19-year-old Adam Lewis could be one who steps up to become Andy Robertson's deputy, while Roland Brewster will hopefully have a full pre-season and be able to make his mark. Add in Curtis Jones and the Reds have some really promising young talents, not to mention the returning Harry Wilson, who it will be really interesting to see what the club has planned for. With Callum Hudson-Odoi potentially moving to Bayern Munich from Chelsea, and Jadon Sancho having already made the leap from Manchester City to Borussia Dortmund, it would be great to see a pathway continue to be established from the academy to the first team at Liverpool to make sure the same thing doesn't happen to our best talents.